The heart beats more than 100,000 times a day, adjusting to exercise, to eating, to sleeping. But for 3 million Americans like Rick Barnes, there's a problem. He suffers from atrial fibrillation, or AFib, an abnormal heart rhythm. Barnes used to do construction work and continues to be active. Monitoring his heart is important, especially as he gets older, because AFib is the most common cause of stroke. But not everyone can spot the signs of AFib. That's what a group of doctors and engineers hope to change with the Apple Watch. Using an algorithm in the app Cardiogram, a new study shows the wearable detected AFib accurately 97% of the time. It could transform the work Dr. Allen does at the University of Colorado Hospital.
Denver 7 Investigates dug up records to prove that other communities across Colorado have done away with protective covenants too. In a community subdivision called Cole Village in Jefferson County, they did so in 1969. In the Bomar neighborhood, the community passed a declaration saying the covenants are void, illegal, and unenforceable, and are discriminatory, noxious, and offensive.
But consider this. This is a mile-high stadium-sized problem. Enough people to fill the seats here and then some. Nearly 90,000 cases in Colorado still have crime victims owed money. Cases more than 5 years old. Of those, roughly half have never seen a dime. Or put it this way, the bad guys who hurt people in this state over the years still owe roughly $820 million. In other words, enough money to build Mile High Stadium again, twice.
The Republican-controlled FCC repealed net neutrality Thursday, so I asked a really smart guy to explain it to me like I'm 8.
I can do that.
Phil put net neutrality for me in a nutshell. It was introduced by the Bush administration, then implemented by Obama's White House.
This decision undoes 13 years of work at the FCC.
The internet is a series of pipes used by everybody. Net neutrality made sure those pipes stayed the same size. This repeal changes that.
If you think about the internet as a highway, this decision undoes key protections.
With net neutrality, all traffic on the internet highway flowed at a fair speed limit.
People can be blocked, people can be discriminated against, and people can be forced to pay priority fees.
Think of it this way. You want to watch Stranger Things on Netflix, but your internet provider doesn't want that on its highway. It could put up roadblocks, change your speed limit, or create a toll lane, basically pay more to get the service you want. Speaking of that tollway, not only are you paying more for that service, Netflix is also paying more for that lane, which means you'll end up paying that too. So, the internet becomes a free market, if you can afford it. In 60 seconds, Thomas Hoppo, Denver 7.
He served as Colorado's 38th governor from 1975 to 1987. Initially, his paycheck totaled $40,000 a year. In his last term, it increased to $60,000. Now, 30 years later, only the state of Maine pays its governor less than Colorado. That's right, the $90,000 annual salary ranks 49th in the country. And consider these facts. When Mayor Hickenlooper became Governor Hickenlooper, he took a significant pay cut. And today, Denver Mayor Michael Hancock makes nearly double what Colorado pays Governor Hickenlooper. Also, every member of the governor's appointed cabinet makes more than the governor.
A recent House survey shows a major backlog in the Denver metro, almost 6 weeks before companies can take new projects. Construction started on their project. Pro tip, get realistic. Everything is more expensive than it was even a year ago.
We can rattle off statistics about how many people are dying. 489 related to prescription overdoses in 2015. That's just in Colorado. The numbers keep growing, but these aren't numbers, they're people. And one man is determined to tell their stories.
The Lost Loved Ones map allows anyone to add a name.
This is Sergeant Richard Vasquez, and
picture, location, and bio.
It says my brother was taken by this horrible devil drug.
A few clicks will show this epidemic can hit anyone, anywhere. The map is far from a complete picture. It's based solely on contributions.
You know, that 760 people, that really only represents about 5 days of what's happening in our country right now.
Showing this epidemic knows no boundaries, city limits, or state lines.
It's down in Castle Rock, it's Englewood and Littleton and Highlands Ranch, Aurora, Arvada.
Mapping overdoses, one face, a loved one at a time.
I miss him a ton. I don't want 10 years to go by and me not to remember him anymore.
Jeremiah works with maps like this for a living. His day job is a geospatial analyst, and he's working with cities and communities across the U.S. to compile overdose records and make maps for them.
Special Olympics Colorado puts on more than 100 competitions every year in 22 different sports. Everything from swimming and basketball to skiing and bowling.
Moffitt told them he drank the equivalent of 2 750-milliliter bottles in just the past 2 days.
His home health care costs alone add up to $40,000 per year. That's not including his regular medical care, which ranges from $5,000 to $100,000 depending on if it's a good or bad year. And he needs a new wheelchair. That runs $15,000 to $20,000. 600,000 Coloradans on Medicaid are at risk of losing some form of coverage, including 450,000 people covered under the Medicaid expansion. Most at risk, the disabled, seniors, and children. These groups cost the most to cover.
Regulators say complaints about do not call violations have gone up 50% since 2015. So does the list really work?
Right now, legally, RVs have to move at least an inch every 24 hours. Soon, they may have to move to another city block, 600 feet, every 48 hours.
Denver is an attractive place for companies like Amazon to set up shop. There's a strong workforce, rail service, an international airport, and our mountain way of life.
Almost halfway between the ballpark and the Capitol. Lines will begin again each morning for fans outside that courthouse starting at 6 a.m. to get a seating pass. Now, there are 32 seats available to the public inside the courtroom, 75 more in an overflow area. Now, there will.
Here's what we found out after research. Raccoons can travel up to an 18-mile radius for food and even places to live. Basically, these raccoons can live anywhere.
Security is such a concern. All I can tell you is that we traveled about 80 miles south to Schriever Air Force Base in Colorado Springs. Our equipment had to be approved ahead of time before top military leaders could give the final okay.
So fast, E470 is expanding, adding a lane from Quincy to Parker Road. That bike path runs the same route, except it stops south of Ireland Way, leaving a 2.5-mile gap of nothing.
Call the company that organizes house showings, get a lockbox code with few questions asked. We found a way crooks can outsmart the system and get their hands on the key to your home. I'll show you how to keep your neighborhood safe next.
To date, our investigation uncovered 3 Denver area school districts, all not notifying parents after teachers and employees were arrested for sexual contact with students. Not aware because the music teacher resigned his job while under police investigation. The Aurora Police Department has confirmed it never notified the school or the district that Tim Brell was arrested and admitted to sexual exploitation of a minor and attempted sexual assault. Here's what we've confirmed. The music teacher resigned in June of last year. His arrest followed in December. The state revoked his license in May of this year, but still no details and no communication to parents until a day after Denver 7 reported Tim Brell's sentencing on October 30th. That's 16 months after his resignation.
Let the drama unfold.
You're listening to a sheriff's deputy on video from a dash camera.
Right now, I'm worried about the coach.
Obtained exclusively by Denver 7.
There's one car, his star football player.
This is moments after the campus canine drug search at Highlands Ranch High. Reports state Coach Mark Robinson drove the SUV of one of his football players a couple hundred yards off campus. Deputies located it, parked in front of the coach's home.
And moves it to try and keep him out of trouble. Well, guess what? That's great. Kept him out of trouble. But guess who's in trouble now?
Watch closely as
the coach, in our opinion, acted inappropriately.
And there are also questions about how school and district administrators responded after learning those facts. Coach Robinson drove the car from campus on August 24th. He resigned the next day. Teachers and athletes were simply told he took another job. On August 28th, in a parent bulletin, Coach Robinson informed parents he had resigned, saying in the past year, quote, "I was slipping in my duties as a head coach." And the trail of deception by school administrators continued. 3 days after the resignation, Highlands Ranch Athletic Director Preston Davis explained Coach Robinson's resignation to the state's High School Athletic Association by saying it was a career opportunity with a lifelong friend that he just couldn't pass up. Again, no mention of the sheriff's investigation.
3 stops, $3 billion within 3 years. That's what was proposed for accelerated phase 1 of the Rocky Mountain Hyperloop. Here's where it would go. Stop 1 in Greeley, heading south with stop 2 at I-76 and a hookup with traffic to Denver and rail lines to Nebraska. Finally, stop 3 is at DIA, making it a Hyperloop world hub.
So now it's feasibility study time, to be started soon and take 6 months to about a year. That will help CDOT figure out if this is in fact the route they want to take, what they want to build first, and if they want to stick here to the original plan, tweak it, or change it altogether.
This is a picture of Craig Towler, a fitness buff and race coordinator last summer.
Things change very quickly, and when things change, the biggest thing for me was I really understood how valuable time was.
Here's how she was told it would work. The company would send her a check, she would remove the money from her account and deposit it into other accounts. She would then deposit their check to pay her back. But only after the transfer of funds did Kosanen realize the check was fake.
This report says that 3 different people watched Kelly chase after his dog and then beat it with both fists, punching it in the head and the chest. Now, Kelly said the dog was running away and denied hitting it. Officers, though, gave Kelly a ticket. Kelly was previously court-martialed during his time at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. After he assaulted his wife and child, we found court paperwork that shows his wife divorced him.
The search movie for Best Picture is Moonlight, and that's followed by Manchester by the Sea. Here's what's pretty interesting. People here in Colorado are searching more Oscar-related topics than most other states. You know, Jimmy Kimmel is hosting this year, and the most Googled question about him, how old is Jimmy? The answer is 49, by the way.
He says his son Arvind, who was attending an Ivy League university in Rhode Island and was on track to graduate this year, had a bright future ahead.
Getting rid of the tax on all of these feminine hygiene products would reduce sales tax revenue by just over $1 million in its first fiscal year. Doing the math, about 1.5 million women here in Colorado use these products, spending about $60 a year per woman. So your grand total sales tax savings, less than $2 per year. Not exactly a windfall, but supporters say it's a start. A real estate research company predicts these incredible home price gains that we've seen will take a major turn in a couple of years, dropping more than 20%. They say get ready for a roller coaster.